class a little more interactive since I'm not going to actually be in it. And I thought it would be interesting to collect questions from everyone, answer those, and then allow you some room to actually talk about them. I'm in beautiful San Francisco with the sunrise, so I thought I would share that a little bit with you. Without further ado, here are the questions that you have.
Hey Jeremy, I have a question about the class project. I looked through the different drafts and I was wondering, will our plans actually be executed during the semester? Like, will we actually do, all the different things that we advise the organization to do, or is it basically just a plan? I'm curious about that. Thank you.
Great question. You will do parts of it, and not that it has to be actually rolled out. For example, we're going to create a landing page this week, create an email next week. You don't have to actually roll that out for them, but part of the class and part of what we're doing here, you'll put that together, and then you can give that to them, and they can decide whether to use it or not.
My sister is currently using GoDaddy as her website provider and is very unhappy with it. And her contract is going to run out in December, so it's actually a good time for her to switch anyway. But we were wondering what would be the best website host that you could recommend in the price range of around $130 annually. Thanks.
Hosting's tricky. It can be very expensive, and it can also be fairly cheap, depending on what you want. So you pay for what you get what you pay for. I use DreamHost, and I've used them for years. I'll put a link on today's page so you can go and check them out. They're cheaper, sort of like GoDaddy, but they have relatively good uptime. There's a few things you want to look for. Do they back the sites up? How much, obviously, is it, and how much bandwidth do you get for that? Because that will really limit you as far as how much traffic you can get. DreamHost, for any of the sites that I'm running, works fine. It's not the best in the world, but it certainly fits that price range. And you can scale up and get your own server. It gets more sophisticated when you do that. Other mentions, Rackspace is probably creme de la creme, sort of at the top of the food chain. Amazon has a variety of Amazon Web Services that you can sign up for, but you kind of have to know what you're doing there. And WP Engine, if you're using WordPress, may be one of the best solutions. It's fairly expensive, but it also provides you actual WordPress backups, not site backups. So you can restore different versions of the content at different times in case anything gets messed up. Hope that helps.
Oh, sorry, one more. She's also mentioned using Buffer to help her know when to post and what types of things to post to get the most response. Do you know anything about that program?
Great question. I use Buffer regularly, and what you can do, you can tie the Buffer app to your LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and you can find articles. You can post them into your Buffer. Think of that as sort of the hopper, and it will pull items in and post them at scheduled times. It's supposed to coincide with where your active traffic is when you get the most clicks. The reality is it just creates a schedule and it posts those. Hootsuite, I've talked a little bit about before. I'd sign up for a Hootsuite account and check it out. Both of these are free to sign up for, and they have business versions. Hootsuite will allow you to do a similar sort of auto schedule. And what I would do with that, you can go in and either schedule those out or try to use their filter. They're both great apps. It's a great way to post schedule things out there. And I think there's a little conversation about that in the book, about trying to keep material out there. You can recycle posts for a couple of weeks, as long as you're not just ignoring the audience. I'll show you a deck where this can go terribly wrong if you're not on top of it and something posts inadvertently. So hope that helps.
Hello. So a couple of things that stuck out with me this week with some of the reading was I thought it was really interesting that Zappos came up in the Inbound book about the landing pages. It's really interesting to me that Zappos has consistently come up in many of my MBA classes as an example of a great way to do business, whether it's their marketing, their customer service, how they take care of their employees. And And I didn't know what inbound marketing was until I took this class. I thought that was really interesting that that's yet another way that they're excelling at their business model. And it just really goes to show why they're such a great company. Another thing that I really have been thinking about a lot this week with the inbound marketing is about the landing pages. As a consumer, I never really paid much attention to the landing pages, but now looking at it from a marketing perspective, I see how important it is. Some of the blogs that I follow are coupon blogs. I'm one of those coupon ladies. So a lot of times, I click on a link to get to a coupon. It'll take me to a landing page. If I have to really search around for the coupon, if it's not readily available on the landing page that I'm directed to, I typically don't bother with it. I'll just take it off my shopping list for the week. So from the marketing perspective, I really see how important it is to have that call to action and have that offer right there and waiting for the consumer. Another thing with the forms, when you submit the forms, if it's a whole lot of stuff that I gotta fill out, I just won't do it. If the form doesn't allow me to do the autofill, like on my phone or on my MacBook, that's another thing. I just won't do it. It's too much trouble to have to type everything in. If I can't just hit the autofill button and it fill it in for me and I can move right along, I'll skip it. So from a business perspective, it really is important to have that ease of use for the consumer. But it's really just kind of interesting to look at it from a different perspective and to see the business side of it, other than what I've been looking at. So I thought that was really kind of neat.
Looking at Zappos, I know that it comes up quite a bit. Zappos is run the way many companies want to be run, but make no mistake, Zappos is about profit. And one of the things that I would look at, if you go to Zappos page and look at their core values, you can see how everything seems to fit within their organization. Everything's built on top of that. So it goes back to one of the very first classes when I drew the concentric circles, the start with why. Tony Hsieh is about delivering happiness and about using customer service in really effective, meaningful ways. And that leads to profitability. Sometimes there's a lot of feel good, there's a lot of drive there. But anyway, that good observation there. Landing pages, absolutely. You learn a lot about the way that we interact as consumers once you go through this class. So I would ask everybody, if you're watching this right now, go ahead and put in a tweet about an interesting company that you've interacted with on a landing page and how this has changed your idea using our hashtag. I'd be curious to know other experiences and how this may have changed your perception.
So for tomorrow's class, I was looking over the 2 chapters we were supposed to read, and it seemed like there was a lot of input on it being a numbers game as far as inbound marketing is concerned. So that's kind of an interest to me. I mean, it's definitely like a sales technique. The more people you get to visit a certain site, a certain percentage of those will eventually buy. So it's kind of that balance of getting multiple people to come in and focusing on the numbers to view the pages, and then eventually some of them will purchase that, whatever you're selling or whatever the case may be. And then the other thing that I was looking at in the second chapter was at what point do you need to stop communication? Because it was talking about communicating with those leads and making sure you email them. But what's that stopping point? Because a lot of people, they just go to a site, especially like me. I've definitely gone to several websites to purchase one specific item that I need, and I don't intend to be a long-term customer at all. So what does that look like? What does that stopping point? And I mean, it may just be too early in the process for it to go over that in the book, but as it's just talking about leads right now, turning them into leads from prospects. So just when does that stopping point occur?
A numbers game. I compare it to gold mining. You sluice through lots and lots of rock and dirt in order to find a little bit of gold. So in this sense, there are a number of people walking down the line that we've talked about, from impressions, from visitors, to leads, to conversions. And I always take a rule of tens in a way. 10% of visitors become leads, 10% of visitors become prospects, 10% of prospects become customers. And if you can vary those numbers, that's great. But that's sort of the answer there. I agree 100%. As far as stopping, I use behavioral unsubscribe. So a lot of people will sign up for things and then they'll continue to get emails over and over again. I think that you take, if you're doing your marketing automation system correctly, you're getting all of these metrics, and you just decide to unsubscribe people when they're not effective, and when it's not doing anything. So we look at an 11-month period. If there's 11, if they don't open our general newsletter.
For my questions I had, when trying to convert an unknown website user to a lead, how many questions is too many? As well as, once we convert the people to leads, what is the most effective way to get more information from them?
You asked this question. I think it's a matter of creativity. You really want to come out with some information that's going to be enticing and really help the person in their buyer's journey as they're moving forward. So just giving the minimal amount of information is not sufficient. You've got to really be able to give them something that's meaningful. So, for example, one of my clients would give a checklist of considerations in the buying process. Didn't really have to do with them. It was just sort of along those lines. One of my clients gave out a very valuable piece of information. In fact, if you look at PricewaterhouseCoopers, they put out some very expensive studies that probably cost tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Take a look at things that are valuable in that way. And how could you be... I don't know what that means. Yeah, thanks, Siri. Things that are valuable. I thought so. And creative.
And also, can you clarify where we should be at with midterm things? I have a midterm exam this week, so it should be midterm. So should we have, is it 10 blogs and the HubSpot certification? Is that right? Because so I'm a little bit behind on the blogs. Anyways, that's all I have. See you soon.
As far as I'm concerned, going into midterm, everybody has the same grade. Everybody's doing fine. Try to have, just to keep on pace, have your 10 blog posts by after our next class. So no rush on that. And then send me your certification. I've received many of them. Like I said, that's more to keep you on pace. I said early in the year that we don't have enough information really to give out a midterm grade. So as far as I'm concerned, everybody has an A. A lot of the stuff accumulates as we go through. So good job. Keep it up. Just get your blog posts up, everybody. Try to get it 10. Try to send me your certification as soon as you can.
This question pertains more to our group project, although obviously it's also relevant to class. What do you do if the business you're trying to help doesn't really have any idea who their target market is? Obviously, it's difficult to create a digital marketing plan if they don't even know the demographic that their services are targeting. So in the context of this project in class, what would be some good steps to help them figure that out?
People want to come in and say, well, I know this about my buyers and I can interview them. Really, you've got to take a look at who the base is. Who are you serving? In reality, on a day-to-day basis, what do they look like? What are some common characteristics? What are demographics, starting at the most broad and then working your way in? Another big way is through this marketing automation system, you'll learn a lot about behavior, and that's when you start to get very specific about what it is that drives certain people. The more information that they give piece by piece, the more that you learn about them. So connecting with them on social profiles, connecting with them through their email preferences, all of those characteristics allow you to start to put people into different. Appreciate everyone's participation tonight. I hope you found this to be an interesting way to do class. I hope that the Twitter conversation was insightful and interesting to you. So give it a shot. Let me know. We're probably going to do something similar next week until we get back onto a different routine here. And so I hope everyone